you want have fun for the summer, come see PL and take me advice.
It's time again.
It's time again.
Swing of the bat. It's 10 runs back here. Oh, look at this.
Bring your family and friends.
It's time again.
That's huge. Over the top. Flat bat for 4.
You're gonna see good catches, 4s and 6. Lots of pretty face showing and pics. From the cup we a chuck some beer. From the wine glass champagne we a sip. The game excited so you can't sit. Stand up, wave your flag for your toe, you a tip. Dance to the music and show so you fit. You're not patient, but you can admit.
One strike.
It's time again.
It's time again.
Excellent. Oh, to the top tier. That's out of here. Goodbye, good night. Here's 6 more.
Bring your
That's another one.
family and friends.
6 more.
It's time again.
That's 6. That is 6. Oh, goodness. Watch out in the top tier. They're scattering up there.
Oh, brilliant.
Gone high. Again.
This time I think it's out, Bish. The bails are off with that one. And gone. This time it's taken.
It's time again.
It's time again.
Bring your family and friends.
It's time again.
Hello everyone and welcome to the 2019 Hero Caribbean Premier League Player Draft. Well, we are live from Gfinity in London And we are ready and raring to go for the 2019 iteration of the biggest party in sport. Hello again, this is the 2019 player draft for the Hero Caribbean Premier League. My name is Alex Jordan and I am lucky enough to be your host today, but I'm not alone. But of course not. We've got two experts on the desk joining me, the whole gang back together again. Former Australia international Mel Jones and former West Indies captain Darren Ganga. Hi guys.
So good to be here, back with the crew again, which is really, really great.
You're looking awesome in your shirts.
I do like it. Love a bit of colour.
Let me start by saying congratulations to Mel Jones, who's now Mel Jones OAM. You've received the Order of Merit for Australia.
I noticed you didn't curtsy, but I'll let you
overlook
off
it.
this time. Thank you so much.
You must be very proud.
Yeah, no, it is. It was a really nice moment. Recognition for services to cricket and women in sport. So yeah, but let's get back to the important stuff.
Absolutely.
Bucket list ticking off today.
CPL 2019, Darren Ganga, who's excited?
Everyone is excited. I think the entire Caribbean and the world is looking forward to players being aligned with different teams. The team owners are here and they'll be going through their selections. I think the excitement continues in the biggest party in sport. You've seen the graduation of young players going on to stardom, and I think that is one of the greatest success of this tournament, and we'll continue to see it, I'm sure, in 2019.
Absolutely, lots of great cricketing talent, but Mel, frankly, really one of the sexiest T20 tournaments. It's a party, and people love that, the music, the vibe in the stands.
I have friends disowning me on Instagram as soon as you get involved in this competition, because everyone just looks at it and says, I want to get there, we need to get there. So get over here to start with.
Yeah.
There's just a wonderful vibe. There's the uniqueness of the Caribbean, and it's mixed in with some seriously competitive cricket as well. So when you put the party and the cricket together, you get the CPL.
Well, if you're wondering why we're all so excited, have a look back at what happened in 2018.
Can you hear a distant drum? Bouncing on the laughter of a melody. And does the rhythm tell you, come, 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 come? Does your spirit do a dance to this symphony? Does it tell you that your heart is afire? Does it tell you that your pain is a liar? Does it wash away all your unlovely? And are you ready for a brand new discovery?
Welcome to the CPL.
Cricket played louder.
Fastest century in CPL history.
Miracle.
Shot boy. What a performance here from Reefer. He's got a Michelle Pfeiffer. What an over. It's gone for 32. It is hero, 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 hero. First ever T20 century.
Big man thing. Shot boy.
A century for the 21-year-old Shimron Hetmeyer. Aidan Allen. Brilliant run chase.
Big man thing.
And they are through the fourth Heroes CPL final. And the Patriots are going to the semi-final of Hero CPL 2018. Trinbago will meet Guyana on Sunday in the final.
So many magical moments from 2018. The Caribbean Premier League is cricket played louder. Oh, so many amazing memories. Darren, what stands out for you?
Well, I'll talk about the batting. I'll leave the bowling for Mel. I think three things I'd like to say. First, congratulations to Trinbago Knight Riders. Back-to-back titles.
Unbelievable.
They won in 2015, 3 times champions, so congratulations to them. And it was well led by Colin Munro, who was the leading run scorer. He didn't score a century, 6 half centuries, 567 runs. That's a brilliant effort to lead his team to the final. The other thing, we had 4 centuries scored in 2018, and 4 very different centuries. I think my best pick of the 4 would be Andre Russell.
Oh, come
He
on
was
now.
dropped on 0, playing against the TKR, and went on to score an unbeaten 121. Led his team to victory. Karen Pollard got a century, his first T20 century. Glenn Phillips from the Talawas as well. He had a century, and Het Meyer, the young, exciting player from the Amazon Warriors. So those are the exciting things for me.
Yeah.
The last, and it's something for the team owners to think about.
Yeah.
Of the top 10 batters,
Yeah.
4 were left-handers. The big Chris Gale is in there as well. So that
Word
is
to
something
the
to think
wise,
about.
eh?
Yeah, I like those 1 percentile sort of things, left-hand, right-hand combination. Those are crucial things, especially with a batting order at the top.
All right, Darren Ganga, good advice. Mel Jones.
You're such a batter, isn't it? He always thinks T20 cricket, it's all about the runs, isn't it? And I'm glad you actually gave me the bowlers as well, because I think when T20 cricket first came in, everyone said it's going to be the death of spinners.
Yeah.
Well, Fawad Ahmed, and particularly leg spinners, have really found their own space
Yes.
within the competition. 22 wickets last season. I thought he was outstanding. But for me, it's about the pace bowlers. O'Shane Thomas, 4 for 1, Mr Tanvir, outstanding.
Yes.
And Ali Khan as well. Pace and movement, that was really exciting for me.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you, Mel, for keeping it brief, unlike Darren Ganga. It's not just these two on our team. Of course, we have the guru of the draft. His title officially is the Tournament Operations Director, Mr. Michael Hall, up in Michael's Corner.
Thank you very much, Alex, and good afternoon to everyone, or good morning to everyone, wherever you are in the world watching our draft for 2019. Yes, Alex, I've been relegated into a corner this year, but I'm happy to be here to keep a watchful eye on proceedings as the picks progress through the 17 rounds that we have today. Let's just take a quick look at some of the more basic rules that are going to be followed during this year's draft. The total squad size is 17. And the squads, that 17-member squad will have 9 senior West Indies players, a minimum of 2 emerging West Indies players, and we'll get to that in more detail later on in the draft, 5 overseas players maximum, and 1 player from the ICC Americas. Prior to the draft, teams could have either retained or acquired a maximum of 6 players. And that number 6 would have been made up by a minimum of 3 West Indians, a maximum of 1 overseas player, the marquee player, either by having been retained from last year's squad or a new one acquired, and also they could have retained their ICC Americas player or acquired a new one as well. And finally, the teams will have to pick a player in every round, except, of course, where they've retained a player. They'll have 2 minutes to make each pick. If the time expires, then they'll lose their turn and pick last in that round. And just to let our viewers know that the order of selection is based on a formula, which is based on the final league position of the teams in last year's tournament. I'm going to throw it back to you over on the main set, Alex.
Thank you, Michael. If you have any questions at all about this draft, Michael is the man, and we'll have him there all day in Michael's Corner. But it's time now for you to meet the team selection panels for their franchises, and we can start with the Barbados Tridents. Okay, representing the Barbados Tridents, we have Mr. Adishwar Pillai, the analyst, Mr. Manish Patel, the co-CEO, and Mr. Arvind Gopwani, the COO. Next up, the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots. Mr. M.R.K. Jayaram is here. He's the owner of the team. We've got the Director of Cricket, Mr. Robin Singh. And we've got the analyst, Mr. Shiram Somayajula. The Guyana Amazon Warriors. The chairman is here, Dr. Bobby Ramroop. Team Operations Manager, Mr. Omar Khan. And the head coach, Johan Botha. The St. Lucia Stars are next. The owner and director is here, Mr. Ronak Pandya, along with the other owner, Mr. Jay Pandya, and the team manager also here, Mr. Rahul Sanghvi. The Jamaica's Talawas, the CEO, Mr. Jeff Miller, the owner, Mr. Chris Prasad, and the captain. And TKR, the Trinbago Knight Riders, we've got the CEO, Mr. Venki Mysore. Apologies, Donovan there in the Jamaica Talivers for not giving you the name check. Didn't quite look like the Universe boss thought it might have been. Okay, here we are now. We look at the retained players for round one of this draft. So retained picks from round one are Andre Russell from the Jamaica Tallowas and Dwayne Bravo from the Trinbago Knight Riders. All right, well, on the clock, we're going to place Tridents, Barbados Tridents, thank you, on the clock officially. Guys, no big surprises there in those first two retentions?
Andre Russell. I mean, he just goes from strength to strength, doesn't he? He's one of the most entertaining. He'd probably be the first picked, I think, in any competition. I'd like heart rate monitors on these guys. I'm getting nervous for them. Got the sweats up.
Yeah, the Knight Riders, Dwayne Bravo, captain, back-to-back titles. He's always amongst the wickets. He's an effervescent all-rounder. Somebody that you expect to lead the Knight Riders. He's from Trinidad, so that's more, I would say, equity for him leading that franchise and getting the support. The local support is always very important. When you're playing home matches, I've seen teams benefit a lot from that support.
It's captaincy smarts too, isn't it?
I was going to say, he knows how to win tournaments, doesn't he?
Massively, particularly at the back end of games when the pressure is really on. You need someone with that cool head and can manage time as well. So he can get through the overs very quickly. So he's got a little bit of time at the back end to make sure that he can make all the right moves.
Right, indeed. Well, okay, well, Barbados Tridents are on the clock. And we're going to get ready soon to verifying the pick that's going on. Andre Russell, he is the talk of the town. What an IPL he had, Mel. You saw it live.
Yeah, just outstanding, particularly in a team that was struggling a little bit. They were trying to find a way to be brave and back themselves, but it was like he just took it all for them.
Yeah.
Any game situation, and I think a lot of us were saying, get him in earlier. We know he can do what he does so very well with, you know, five overs to go. But let's just try and get him in maybe over 12 and let's just unleash the beast and just see what he can actually do with more overs to play with.
Yeah, well, this year's IPL, we saw a lot about his batting. I think the other aspect was his bowling.
First pick is in, ladies and gentlemen. First pick of the draft is Mr. Alex Hales. St. Lucia Stars officially on the clock. Barbados Tridents. That's Alex Hales.
Huge. Straight away, first pick, and all of a sudden...
And we're out and running.
That is exactly it. Saw a lot of Alex Hales during the T20 blast in England last year, and we saw it in finals the year before as well at Lord's. He has an amazing array of shots, but just the ability to take on the game as well. That's a massive pick.
Yeah, I think the impact that he would have, and you expect him to have at the top of the innings, very crucial for T20 cricket. I've seen the evolution of T20 cricket, and it's important to capitalise in the power play and to take that momentum in the middle overs as well. No longer it's about throttling back in those middle periods. So if you scored 7 runs per over in the power play overs, you've got to try and score at 7.5 or 8 in the middle overs as well. He can do that. He can play the big innings. I also think availability is a big factor. He will be available for the entire tournament.
Oh, yes, that's right.
So that's crucial.
He's a tall fella. Well, Barbados Tridents will be happy to get him under their belt right off the bat.
Oh, most definitely. So, yeah, time there, most definitely, and a fresh start. Let's be honest, it's been a tricky period of time for him. I think he'll come away, and just the excitement we saw before with him, you know, just being around the draft. I think he'll just use that as a launching pad for him to get back into international cricket as well.
Wonderful. I hope we will be catching up with him here for a little interview during this draft. I saw him backstage. He's a tall fella, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's about literally twice my height.
Yeah, long levers, hits the ball far. That's important.
Okay, St. Lucia Stars, you have a time check now. You've got 30 seconds. You guys on the clock for their pick. And we're here for the 2019 player draft of the Hero Caribbean Premier League. It's cricket played louder. And the draft feels exciting, guys.
It's like DRS, isn't it? You've got to have a system for DRS when you're playing cricket. You've got to have a system for the draft as well. You can't just sort of come in willy-nilly. So Hales has gone, right, what does that mean now for our next pick? And everyone will be thinking that.
10 seconds, St. Lucia. And
I bet you they know.
Exactly, making it more exciting for us. I do feel very important giving them the time checks. OAM, Mel Jones.
You don't like the control at all, do you? No.
Okay, St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots They've got the next pick.
Looking very relaxed.
Yeah, we're just verifying with St. Lucia here. That's all right. We are in round 1 of the draft. It's exciting. It's electricity inside. We've got a bit of a studio audience. I haven't even greeted them. It's nice to see them in here. Some of the media, people are excited.
Yeah, I mean, this is the place to be if you're following the Caribbean Premier League and you're looking to supporting a team to go on to win the title in 2019. You would want to know what cadre of players you have in your particular team. So this is the crucial moment. This is where titles are won, I would say, or the starting of titles.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, St. Lucia Stars pick Lasith Malinga, their round 1 pick. And they just made it in time. Ladies and gents, Lasith Malinga.
Wow. You just go back just a couple of weeks ago to the IPL final when I was on a plane taxiing down the runway, just about to get out of
Sorry,
service.
St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots on the clock, I should have mentioned.
And almost said to the captain, hold up, I've got to listen, watch this last over.
Incredible.
He'd gone for runs early doors too.
Yeah.
Just the experience from this guy, absolutely outstanding pick.
Yeah, great.
It was a brave decision by Rohit Sharma to bowl him in that 20th over in the IPL final. It worked wonders.
History, though. He's got great history, though.
Yeah, I think experience as well, crucial. We saw that with Chennai Super Kings the year before, going with experience as against youthful exuberance and winning a title. So maybe
Wicket
that's
last
the thinking.
ball. Incredible.
Yeah.
But it's funny, you know, had he missed it, you'd be hearing how he's all washed up. You know, cricket is really a game of inches, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. It's very fickle. You can be on the winning side on one moment. That game swung the IPL final. And I think Lasith Malinga showed why experience counts. He bowled the perfect last over, 6 deliveries on spot. And if you hear what he said after about his thinking, he was going for the kill, looking to bowl that wicket-taking ball in that final delivery. And he got the wicket.
And he would have been
1 minute left on the clock, probably just underneath that.
He would have been saying to Rohit Sharma too, I want that over. You know, this is why you've paid for me to be in these franchise moments. Give me the ball. Yeah, I think the other thing too is that there are different pitches in the CPL as well. You need an experienced guy that knows that can go from pitch to pitch and island and nation to nation and still produce the goods.
I think in terms of role, he can bowl in the power play overs, he can bowl in the death overs, and a lot of teams, they pick players to fulfill that particular role. That's what I think this St. Lucia Stars team is doing, picking him to play that role in their squad.
Surely he'll be somewhat of a leader within the squad as well, you know, as a veteran player.
The amount that the bowlers around him will learn from him being around that group is just, you can't put a price on that almost.
Yep.
All right. Well, and we've got our next player, Isuru Udana, is the pick for the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots. We should be, yeah, there we are, Isuru Udana. A round 1 pick for the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots. How much do you guys know about him?
Left-arm seamer, all-rounder, played for Sri Lanka, a couple of international matches. He's a
Okay, can we get the Guyana
player.
Amazon Warriors on the clock now?
Yeah, I think the conditions here, that's why I think the Sri Lankans, the Bangladeshis, they'll be familiar with the conditions in the Caribbean. A little bit slower if you look and see where the playoff matches are being played. It's Guyana and Trinidad, and you tend to find the spinners and the slow bowlers dominate there. So players who are more adept to these sort of conditions might be a little bit of an advantage to teams.
Yep. The analyst role, this is where it really comes into play. It's that whole Moneyball situation, isn't it? Where all of a sudden we sort of go, we've seen a little bit of him and understand the pick, but the analyst, that's why all this trawling through stats and figures and watching all the games, making sure that it matches up with what they exactly need. So he's been playing recently, he's got 1 for 31 against Scotland recently, he's in amongst it all, and again, probably seeing out the entire tournament as well, which is handy.
Fair enough. A decent go of it by St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots last year.
Yeah, they did well. I mean, previous times they've struggled to make the playoff rounds. I think that is something that they will want to continue in terms of how they've progressed as a team. Many teams they've struggled, like you take, for example, Barbados Tridents. First 3 years into the playoff round, the last 3 years, failing to qualify in the top 4 to the playoffs.
They have got 1 title.
And they've got 1 title, yes.
Don't forget that.
I know that loyalty coming to the fore here. But I think it's about switching the form and making sure that when you do switch the form of your team, that you continue that in years to come. And that is exactly what St. Kitts Patriots will be looking forward to.
All right, the Guyana Amazon Warriors are on the clock. The pick is in. This is the last pick for round 1 of the 2019 player draft. And it's Shadab Khan. Shadab Khan is their pick. Darren, you're nodding.
Very good pick. I think if you look at what transpired in 2018, Fawad Ahmed being the leading wicket taker for Trinbago Knight Riders, leg spinners, you watch T20 cricket across the globe. Very important as wicket takers for teams. He is a definite wicket taker, Shakib Khan. He's played in the CPL before, played with Trinbago Knight Riders, so that's an asset for any team to have.
And we've seen the skill set of Rashid Khan at Guyana Amazon Warriors in the past. We know the pitch is certainly conducive to that kind of role. They win their home games and they're pretty much almost guaranteed of those finals. I think it's a fantastic pick.
All right, thank you very much. Well, it's time now to look at some marquee players already retained. Harsha's going to take us through it.
There's many T20 leagues around the world, but the CPL is starting to create a niche for itself. There's the IPL, there's the Big Bash, there's 100 coming somewhere. But everybody loves coming to the CPL, the lovely surroundings, the great fans, and they want to make their name in the CPL as well. And there's some big moves afoot in the CPL. And we've got information on 4 of those. The biggest of those moves comes from the universe boss himself. You think of Chris Gayle and you think of Jamaica, don't you? Played at the Talabas, he won in 2013, 16. Then he went across to the Patriots, the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots for a couple of years until Jamaica beckoned once again. And I'll tell you, I've been watching Chris Gayle as well. He might be moving a little slowly, but it doesn't matter. Once ball starts to hit bat, or rather when bat starts to demolish ball, they are sailing out of the ground. And sometimes you run out of balls because he's just hitting all of them out. So the Talabas will be hoping that the return of the universe boss will mean good tidings for them. So that's one big move. Marquee player back home in Jamaica. It's also the season for people to come back home. Big Kieron Pollard comes back as well. He spent a few years with the Tridents, remember? Won it for the Tridents back in 2014, then the St. Lucia Stars. And now with a team that's already won it twice, that team now gets even stronger with a new marquee player. Kieron Pollard's not just someone who's going out there and demolishing bowlers and finishing matches. No, Kieron Pollard saying, I'm going in early these days. I'm taking a little bit of time. I'm knocking the singles around and then watch out for me. This new emerging Kieron Pollard, dare I say, for someone who's been around for that long, is an even more dangerous version. And I'm telling you, the Trinbago Knight Riders are going to enjoy having Kieron Pollard back in their midst. What about the Tridents? Such a great history for cricket in Barbados, and they've got the right signing as their marquee player. The cricket world respects Jason Holder enormously for what he's done with West Indies in their time of crisis. He's led them with great distinction, but he's also led them with great dignity. And under Jason Holder, so many young West Indians are starting to come up, and the rest of the world is saying, is this a new dawn? Is this a second coming of the West Indies? And it's the same Jason Holder now comes in as a marquee player for the Tridents. They didn't have a great year last year, the Tridents, and they'll be hoping that Holder's charisma, his magic, his leadership skills will give the fans in Barbados a better 2019 than they had 2018. There's another buzz around the world, and that has to do with all these young players from the Caribbean who are going around in their T20 to the T20 leagues, and they're setting them afire. Slowly they're rising in seniority as well. And one of them, I saw him play an under-19 World Cup not that long ago, now makes the big move as a marquee player. The Guyana Amazon Warriors have unveiled Nicholas Pooran as their marquee player. Now, when you're a young player, when you're a big name signing, when there's a price tag attached to you, it can work 2 ways, can't it? Either you'll say, oh my God, I'm the marquee player, or you might say, wow, this is our generation started to come about. And I've been watching Nicholas Pooran lately. He's hitting the ball crisply, and I've little doubt that the Guyana Amazon Warriors, whose fans are clamoring for a CPL title, they've made a few finals, that with Nicholas Pooran as their marquee player, who knows, there might be better tidings ahead. So 4 signings, now we head into the draft. Who knows what the big signings are going to be, who's going to come through the draft. But one thing is certain, that the biggest party in sport, the biggest party in cricket, is just going to have a fabulous 2019.
Well, you've got that right. Thank you so much, Harsha Bogle. Wonderful stuff. Well, we had a look at some of the marquee players. Well, this is round 2 of the player draft, so officially the St. Lucia Stars on the clock. Darren and Mel, let's talk about a few of those marquee players.
Yeah, Jason Holder for Barbados Tridents. You expected that. He's from Barbados. He's got captaincy skills. He's a current captain for the West Indies.
Bit of a batsman down the order there these days, isn't
well, I mean, he had a very good series against England, scored a double century in front of his home crowd. So He's a definite plus for that Barbados Trident team. And the universe boss, as expected, being a marquee player. But the bigger thing to me is that move from St. Kitts Nevis Patriots back to his home country, Jamaica Talawas, with him pairing
That is
with
huge.
Andre Russell. Whoa, fireworks.
No,
fireworks.
huge. And you know, the Jamaicans are passionate. I remember Chris walking out and the Jamaicans being not too pleased in that St. Kitts. Okay, we've got the pick in. And the pick is Awad Ahmed. Fawad Ahmed. Fawad Ahmed is the pick.
No surprise. How
No.
good was he last year? 22
Pretty
wickets.
good.
And he actually got his name back in front of selectors back in Australia,
wicket
coming
taker
up
last
for World Cups. And Shane Warne was mentioning, and once Shane Warne talks about leg spinners, everyone sort of sits up and takes notice again. I think he expanded his skill set too. He's in the older age bracket. He's a little mature,
Yeah.
you would say, but just developed his skills as it went on and learnt really, really quickly.
I'll just put
against the
St. Kitts and
pitches.
Nevis Patriots on the clock right now. St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots on the clock. Not
So
surprising.
no surprises whatsoever that they've picked him up.
Leading wicket
Fawad
taker. Leading wicket taker
Yeah.
last year. He's got a very deceptive googly, which is crucial in T20 cricket. You need a penetrative bowler in your squad. If you're a captain and you have a couple options like that, you can swing the pendulum of a game at any time. Every single over in a 4-over spell for bowlers like this can be match changing, you would see. So I think that's a very good pick from St. Lucia Stars. And they're looking quite good. Malinga, Fawad Ahmed, so they've got the pace department covered. Now the spin department is covered with their second pick.
Yeah, it's funny. It's such a science, isn't it, how you put together a cricket team?
Yeah, I think you must have a framework, you must have a guide before going into this sort of player acquisition and draft. You must know what sort of combinations you want. Maybe in a playing 11, maybe 5 batters, 4 specialist bowlers with an all-rounder and a wicket-keeper. And then you don't let your emotions get the better of you, because you see about 300-plus players in front of you, all looking very attractive. You can end up picking a lot of the same type of players. So you got to think roles within your team and then try to cover them. So that's a very good
All right,
sign
well, the pick
from
is
St.
in.
Lucia
Pick is
Stars.
in. Fabian Allen is the pick. Fabian Allen, and perhaps not so surprising for St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots. He was awesome.
Yeah,
2018.
he did very well last year. I saw him play that match-winning innings right there at Warner Park for his franchise. He's graduated. I mean, he's announced himself. He's a marquee player, so expectations higher from his franchise, and a lot of people who follow West Indian cricket would expect more from him.
Yes.
He's in that World Cup side, and he's not taken an international wicket at the ODI level just yet. So just think about the burden of expectation on his shoulders. So he's got to deliver.
All right, guys, that's the end of round 2. We've got to move on, I'm afraid, Mel. It will be round 3, and let's have a look at the retained players. So 4 players retained in round 3. Darren Sammy with the St. Lucia Stars. Evan Lewis with the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots. There's Shoaib Malik, he's with the Guyana Amazon Warriors. And the mystery spinner, Sunil Narain, with TKR. All right, there you have it. Barbados Tridents, you are officially on the clock for our round 3 of this draft pick. Any surprises there? Well, let's go through them. What do you want to talk about? Darren Sammy.
Look, fantastic. You know, he's
a legend.
He is, and I think for St. Lucia too, he just gives you that. I think a big part of this competition is a culture around a team, and they didn't do well last year, let's face it.
Yeah.
But he's the kind of guy that you would want around. Then he's played a lot of franchise cricket around the world and been involved in franchise winning units as well. And what they say that he can bring to a team, particularly when you need that upbeat feel, he has got that in absolute bucket loads.
Yeah, it's no surprise, Darren, and it's no secret. I'm a fan of Darren Sammy. I think he's such a good man-manager.
Yeah, he is, and what he will be thinking about is their lack of success as a franchise team. He's been with this franchise team for quite a while. He's not been able to lift that title just yet. They looked a better side last year. He had an injury, carried an injury, and he was not available for all matches. But I think fit Darren Sammy is always an asset in any T20 side. He can bowl, he can bat, and he's a brilliant fielder as well. So 3-dimensional player in T20 cricket. Good pick for St. Lucia Stars.
Evan Lewis was in that list. He didn't have a great tournament last year. He hasn't yet sort of lived up to his potential, has he?
Yeah, he struggled a bit. He announced himself, a couple T20 international centuries against India. And when you score runs against India, a lot of people stand up and salute and take notice. he hasn't had that consistency
1 second,
that
the
he'll
pick is
want.
in. Pick is in, thank you, Darren. Asif Ali is the pick. Jamaica Tallawahs, you are on the clock for your round 3 pick.
I think also for Evan Lewis, too,
Yeah.
with no Chris Gale there.
Yes.
Here's the moment for him as well to shine. He didn't really play too much in the IPL, so he's probably got everything just waiting just to burst it forth in this year's CPL.
Good, I hope that. Asif Ali,
Yeah, good pick for the Tridents. If you followed him first, condolences to him and his family. I think he lost his daughter. She was suffering with cancer, but he's been a part of the Pakistan international team. Recently that toured England, very, very attacking player, an all-rounder, bowls a bit of seam. In that tournament against England, he scored 2 half-centuries, and what he has is a very good strike rate in white ball cricket. That will be very good in T20 cricket. Because he's from the subcontinent, he will adjust to the slower sort of conditions in the Guyana, in Trinidad and Tobago. Maybe Barbados Trident, they have something up their sleeve in terms of the conditions there at Kensington Oval, which has not really been seamer-friendly, a little bit inconsistent in terms of bounce and pace. So maybe this could be a good pick in terms of results for the Tridents.
That's right. Well, new energy in the Tridents. We've got new owners this year. They'll be looking to do things a little differently, I would expect now.
Probably. And that's usually what happens whether you get a new coach or captain or owners. There will be some shifting. And what you want is that shifting to happen as quickly as possible.
25 seconds for the Tallawahs, 25 seconds.
Settle things down as quickly as they possibly can just to allow the on-field play to take over.
All right. Well, we are here. It is the draft for the 2019 Hero Caribbean Premier League. Jamaica's on the clock. They've got a couple of seconds left. This will be the last pick of this round. They're just verifying the pick. Apparently, it's in already. And those gentlemen will be putting all their heads together. All right. The pick is Mr. Chadwick Walton. End of our round. So a quick thoughts on that, Chatty.
2 years ago, had an outstanding CPL leading run scorer, and I mean the celebrations too. I mean he had it all.
Yeah, he's so fun to watch.
The reply, it was brilliant. Then couldn't follow it up last year. You were thinking, will they stick with him or not? Haven't. I really enjoy watching the way he goes about it. I really hope he has a fantastic season.
You know, I was thinking about him a bit this morning, and when I was thinking about Chris Gale as well. It's good to be a phenomenal athlete. You have to be a talented cricketer. But also in this format of the game, especially for CPL, you have to be an entertainer.
Correct, and they do entertain. If you look at the top 3 picks for the Tallawahs, that's Russell, Gale, and Chadwick Walton, all 3 Jamaicans. So again, strong Jamaican-centric team is going to bring that support. So the 12th man for this franchise is going to be a strong 12th man against any opposition.
Fun. All right, we're going to do a recap of the first 3 rounds. Let's have a look at round 1, guys. Have a look at this. So there we are, Alex Hales, Shakib Khan, Andre Russell, Suru Udana, Lasith Malinga, and Dwayne Bravo. Oh, it looks good, doesn't it?
International superstars in so many different ways. You've got the leg spin, you've got just some power hitting, you've got the experience of Malinga. I mean, you can't get better than that when you're looking at round 1 of the draft. You just look at all those and just go bang, bang, bang. That's fantastic.
All right, let's look at round 2 then. Have a look at this one, Darren.
Yeah, good, very good. I think leadership in there, Pollard, Jason Holder as well, Chris Gale, Fawad Ahmed, leading wicket taker. So form again required from him. New franchise, new setup, maybe denting TKR and that combination that they have. Fabian Allen, to me, I think that's a surprise in that round of picks for him getting that opportunity so high. And Nicholas Puran, he had a good IPL. Yeah. I think he is just waiting to unleash the tremendous talent that he has.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right. It's looking good so far. Those are the first 2 rounds. Let's have a look at a summary of round 3. So we've got Asif Ali, Shoaib Malik, Chadwick Walton, Evan Lewis, Darren Sammy, and Sunil Narayan.
Yeah, some new players there for people to get their heads around, and I think that's one of the exciting things as well. Some people might be sitting back at home and going, Asif Ali, don't know too much about him, but all of a sudden they'll be Googling away and getting all the information, particularly all the Tridents players getting ready to see what he's like, and that's the exciting part about the draft.
All right, good. Well, that's round 3 done and dusted. We'll soon be moving right along to round 4. Time waits for no one, so let's have a look at the retained players. So here we are, round 4 retained players. Carlos Brathwaite for the St Kitts and Nevis Patriots. Colin Monroe, TKR. Rovman Powell with the Jamaica Tallawahs. Shimron Hetmeyer for the Guyana Amazon Warriors. And Wahab Riaz for the Barbados Tridents. Okay, St. Lucia Stars, you are on the clock, while myself and this wonderful panel have a little bit of a natter about those retained players. Who do we start with? It's an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah, it certainly is. Shimon Hetmyer really stood out for me.
Yeah.
That 100 in Miami was just absolutely breathtaking to watch. Gave him the opportunity of then getting picked up in the IPL. Didn't start overly well. I think he played the first 3 or 4 games, just struggled to get to double figures. It's a big tournament.
Yes.
But then in the last game for RCB, came through that magnificent partnership and got them over the line. So what he would have learnt from the IPL, you can't put a price tag on that, and he'll bring that in.
You know, Darren, people criticise him, say he's too aggressive, he's too impatient. I love to watch him.
Yeah, that's his style of play. I think some players are gifted like that. He is one of those gifted players. When he's attacking, that's when he's at his best. He's not so strong defensively, but I think over time he will develop that aspect of his game. In this round, 2 players that I want to comment on. Carlos Brathwaite.
Yes.
Since that ICC T20 World Cup in India.
Yes.
He's not really taken the world by storm, and a lot of people are expecting him to deliver with bat and ball. He hasn't done that. So he must start to deliver, otherwise he can slowly fade away. Rovman Powell had a
Nevis
great...
Patriots really need him as well.
Yeah, that's right. So Rovman Powell, he had a very good CPL 2018 in the top 10 run getters that year. Had some good stints in T10 and T20 formats, so he'll need to be consistent again.
All right, we've got the pick in, guys. This is the last pick of this round. Tessara Pereira, I beg your pardon. Tessara Pereira, St. Lucia Stars. What do you know of him?
All-rounder. He's played a lot of T20 cricket. He's been a utility player for most teams, does a little bit with the bat, does a little bit with the ball. Depends on what sort of role they have for him at the Stars. If they're going to try and confine his role to getting quick runs, I think that's an area that they can focus on. Their batting has not been that consistent in years.
Yes.
They're bowling a lot better than their batting, I would think. So they had Obed McCoy last year, who was really good left-arm seamer from St. Vincent, who had a lot of variations. But they need to find a consistent formula for their batting to consistently score 160, 170 plus. That, to me, would be key for the Stars in terms of their success in 2019.
All right.
Been pretty handy with the ball too. Played with the Melbourne Renegades in the Big Bash. And what he can do, he can nail that Yorker length. Doesn't have a lot of pace to him though, so if he just misses that length, he can get a little bit of tap. But good all-round pick.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's round 4 summed up. Thank you very much, guys. Let's have a little look at what we just saw. This is round 4 here.
The one we hadn't really mentioned is Colin Munro. You talk about consistency, and that's what you want, particularly in franchise cricket when players are coming in maybe 2 days before the competition starts. Every time that he comes in, he just says, right, well, he knows his role, he plays it superbly well. And when you think that Chris Lynn and Brendan McCullum are in that sort of overseas player mix, and he's the one that's getting picked before then, you go, well, that's how important he is to TKR.
What about Wahab Riaz? Just been picked for the Pakistan team for the World Cup, so he's on a high. This could be a positive thing for the Tridents in terms of his left-arm seam. He's a genuine wicket taker.
All right.
Good pick for the
Super
Tridents.
solid stuff, and my experts are very excited. Hold on. Round 4 is done and dusted, and this is the 2019 player draft for the Hero Caribbean Premier League. Time for us to take a break. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome to the West Indies, come enjoy the sunlight and the cool breeze. It's a cricket party, CPL 2020. We are bold, we are bat, we are feel. Crowd go wild when them hear an appeal. The girls are wind up in a them short shorts. Pretty skin are reveal. Come enjoy the Caribbean vibes. Buy your team shirt, we have every size. We have all type of food, ackee and saltfish, dumpling with chicken and fries. The mascot a dance and in the skies. Lots of giveaways and enough surprise. If you want have fun for the summer, come CPL and take me advice.
It's time again.
good catches, 4s and 6. Lots of pretty face showing and pics. From the cup we a chuck some beer. From the wine glass champagne we a sip. The game excited so you can't sit. Stand up, wave your flag on your toe, you a tip. Dance to the music and show so you fit. You're not patient, we sick and admit.
What a strike.
Excellent march at the top tier. That's out of here. Goodbye, good night, it's 6-4.
That's another one. 6 more. That's 6. Oh, goodness. Watch out in the top tier. They're scattering up there. Gone high. Again.
This time I think it's out, Bish. The bails are off for that one. And gone. This time it's taken.
Bring your family and friends. It's time again.
Wave your hand, wave your hand, wave your hand from the Caribbean. Wave your hand, wave your hand, wave your hand from your #1. From me ready for the competition. You not take intimidation. Ready, woman or man. We have no hand.
This is how we play the game. This is how we play. And we gon' represent and show them who we stand for. Let's turn it up and light the flame. Yeah. If you're not here to give it all, then what you here for? So get up and unite for your team. We'll give the best we've got. Hands up, right up, and play hard. We'll take it to the top. It's how we
Every band, every bat, every pitch, every pad, every deal, every wicket, every stone. And the heart and soul and passion, and the culture, Caribbean blood. When playing, come out all nation. Be the team in a unification. When the stadium grand bleach at the grandstand, and the meaning of beautification.
It's how we play. Yeah. It's how we play. This is how we play. It's how we play. This is how we play. This is how we play. This is how we play.
How we play.
How you play.
Hello and welcome back to the 2019 player draft for the Hero Caribbean Premier League. My name's Alex Jordan and I'm sitting beside the #1 draft pick here at the CPL this year, Mr. Alex Hales. Congratulations.
Thanks.
#1 draft pick and with the Barbados Tridents. You must be thrilled.
Yeah, as a gig, it's probably as good as it gets. Barbados is one of the best places in the world that I've played cricket.
Oh, here he is. Here.
We've got such good memories playing there, so to get the first round pick in such an amazing place is as good as it gets.
What do you love about Barbados? You like to play cricket there, obviously.
Everything. It's just the whole atmosphere. It's got a really good, good sort of party atmosphere, good cricket, a really good, nice cricket ground. I've got good memories. It's a full package.
Well, Alex, you're no stranger to T20 cricket. You've played the IPL, you've played the Big Bash, you've played county T20 competitions, but are you ready for the CPL, mate?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Speaking to all the players around the world, it's such a good atmosphere, real big, real tough standard of cricket, and also a really good, party atmosphere and an enjoyable tournament. So I think it's the right combination of everything.
And have you been anywhere else in the Caribbean other than Barbados?
Yeah, a few places. We've toured there a couple of times. So I've been to Antigua, Grenada, St Kitts, St Lucia, so quite a few of them. Yeah.
Right, you'll see Guyana, you'll see a few more islands this time.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Because you'll be touring the whole region. It's interesting how even though it's all the Caribbean, the different islands have different flavours.
Yeah, no, it is. Everywhere is a little bit different. I really enjoyed my time in Grenada when we were there on tour, and I think the whole place, every island's unique and got something different about it. So. But Barbados is the one for me.
And what about playing conditions? Do you remember which ones you preferred or how they differed, island to island?
They're variable, I think. I think each place sort of has, I found Antigua was quite a slow pitch. Barbados has been flat and it has been up and down. It's something different everywhere you go, I think. So I guess that's good for the cricket and good for getting better.
I know Barbados will be excited to get the #1 draft pick, Mr. Alex Hales. T20 cricket on a whole, how do you think it's changed the game?
That's a good question. I think you can see it pretty much definitely in 50-over cricket. Some of the scores now these days, where 350 is almost easily chased these days. So I think it's just the array of shots that batters have got now. People practicing scoops, hitting over extra, reverse sweeps. Everyone just. I think the array of shots has gone through the roof, and it's implemented 50-over cricket definitely.
All right, Alex Hales, looking forward to seeing you in action. Congratulations. Cheers. I'm sorry the camera can't pick up your fancy shoes. I wonder if they can. They are pretty stylish. You're ready, mate. Great. Thank you for talking with us. All right. Well, we are here. It is the 2019 Hero Caribbean Premier League player draft. I'm coming back to the desk now, and we're going to go straight to the retained players for round 5. Round 5, Andre Fletcher for the St Lucia Stars and Rassie van der Dussen for St Kitts and Nevis Patriots. Okay, Barbados Tridents, you are on the clock. All right, we've got Rassie, and who's the other player?
Andre Fletcher.
Andre Fletcher.
Rassie, I think, is a really good pick because when you marry up, he bats 1 to 3. Very good averages, particularly in domestic cricket in South Africa, but also now internationally. You marry that up with his strike rate at the moment, and it's high. And so that's the really exciting thing. So high average and high strike rate. That's a nice little
combination there.
Yeah.
Continuity as well with the St Kitts Nevis Patriots.
That's right.
He played last year. That's so important to have players that understand the setup, and they can continue to build upon what their experiences were before.
Yes.
He's a quality player. He can bring that sort of winning mentality to St Kitts Nevis Patriots. That is exactly what they'll be looking for.
And senior player too. I think he's 30 now as well, so he knows his game as well. So if things don't quite click into place straight away, you can probably got that bank of experience that he can call on as well. Yeah.
It's a great point you guys make about the continuity, because I think even for the fans, it's nice for them to welcome people back, right? This was our guy from last year.
Well, we've seen that with the Talawas. We've seen that with the Trinbago Knight Riders, and that of Chris Gayle and Karen Pollard. In this instance, very much the same. You can say the same for Andre Fletcher, going back to St Lucia Stars. He's from that part of the Caribbean.
Yes.
And he's a performer in T20 cricket. He's underrated, not spoken about a lot, but he's quite effective. He can be a match winner. He loves playing at the Darren Sammy Stadium, has a very good record there, knows the conditions there, because he plays a lot of local cricket for the Windward Islands, and that's their home base. So that's good local knowledge, and can he use that to his advantage and create wins?
Guys, the pick's in. Sandeep Lamichhane for the Barbados Tridents. Knight Riders, you are on the clock. That's the first pick in the draft for the TKR.
Well,
Sandeep, everyone's favourite.
I'll give you a story. I was covering a game with Delhi Capitals in the IPL, and Lamichhane was there warming up, and he came straight over to me. I didn't meet him before, and he was like, Darren, I'm so eager to play. He hasn't been a part of the playing 11 for the Delhi Capitals this year in IPL.
That's right.
But his passion and his hunger for wanting to play jumped out at me. And I think when you have a team and you have young players with that type of attitude, that can spur a team to getting over the line in tough conditions. He looked like a very brave man. He's had a wealth of experience playing in the IPL, playing in other leagues. He's a leg spinner as well. So that's an asset. If he can pick up wickets for the Tridents, then watch out, opposition teams.
wonderful storyline too, because self-taught pretty much. He's from a very minute and remote section of Nepal. So you start to gather information from watching people bowling, you know, on YouTube and the likes. And so he gets the IPL, and then he's got all these wonderful heads of cricket around him, and he is like that. He's like a sponge. He just wants to learn more and more and more. So I think he'll just get better and better.
That's a tremendous story. When we think about players who complain about, you know, the kind of stuff available for them to train and to get better, and this guy over YouTube having a little look, isn't he? Well done, Sandeep Lamont off to the Barbados Tridents. All right, well, we've got the Jamaica Tallawahs, is it, on the clock? Guyana Amazon Warriors, I beg your pardon. Guyana Amazon Warriors are on the clock, and this is round 5 of the player draft of the 2019 TKR on the clock. Sorry, we got that wrong. TKR. We'll get there eventually. And that's right, because it's actually TKR's first pick.
Yeah, because they've retained players in this draft. So that's interesting to see. Fawad Ahmed from the TKR already jumping across and changing the landscape for TKR. So I'm quite keen to see what they come up with.
Okay, well, TKR, Dinesh Ramdin is the player. Guyana Amazon Warriors, you are now on the clock. Sorry to frighten you a while ago. Dinesh Ramdin for TKR.
Well, we've spoken about it before. Yep. When you pick a team, you want some people in key positions that have got experience, and you know what you're going to get. And he is just, every competition that I've been involved in, comes in that middle order, regardless if they're setting or chasing, and just gets the business done with a variety of different batters too, whether or not he's batting with the tail, which is a really pivotal role with the T20 format, or he's batting with the top order.
Well, he did it both, didn't he, last time? I had several interviews with him in the 2018 tournament. He's so humble, Ganga. He
is, and he's a good cricketing brain. He's got a good cricketing brain in terms of the knowledge that he has. 10th highest run scorer in 2018, Ramdin. So even coming in at the middle to lower order, he's produced runs for Knight Riders before, and I think that would have tipped them in favour of going for him again. He's playing at home in Trinidad and Tobago, amongst Trinidad and Tobago players. That chemistry, that synergy, very crucial towards building a team and building a team for success.
All right, the pick is in. So 1 second. Ben Laughlin is in. Ben Laughlin is the pick for the Guyana Amazon Warriors. Jamaica Tallawahs, you're on the clock.
What Ramdin also does, he allows the top order to play freely too. So when you know you've got a player like that coming in, the team game plan is just allowed to go, and that's what the benefit for TKR. Nice to see an Aussie get picked. First Aussie. It is the first Aussie, isn't it?
Yes, I think great.
Really just a smart bowler. He was one of the first bowlers that came in. He bowls the saucer and the knuckleball. He's got a wonderful array of deliveries. I think he'll play well in terms of different conditions. He adjusts himself really well. Senior head works really well with young players. I think they'll get a lot out of him.
Oh, good. Ben Laughlin.
Two-dimensional player. Bat and ball can contribute. You need that versatility in any team if you're playing against different oppositions to have depth in your batting or an extra option with your bowling. Always very handy. I just feel that the Guyana Amazon Warriors, they've played really consistent cricket throughout the history of CPL. They've been to the final on 4 occasions and haven't been able to lift the title.
Bridesmaids.
Yeah, so they need a bit of X factor. Can he bring that X factor to this Guyana Amazon Warriors team? That is what I'm looking towards with these picks for the Warriors, because they need match winners. They can't just play a solid T20 game.
All right, last pick of the round is in, ladies and gents, and it's Zaheer Khan. Zaheer Khan for the Jamaica Tallawahs. He's Afghanistani cricketer. You mentioned Nepal before. Cricket's such an international game now.
Yeah, it certainly is, isn't it? He'll be an interesting pick. It's just one ODI, I think, internationally, but you need that spinning option. But both left-hand too. I think that's an interesting one too when you start to think about the left-hand, right-hand combinations when you're going down your batting list, but also with the ball as well. You want to. We're talking about it before, making sure that you've got every box ticked depending on who you're playing against, and matchups I think are probably one of the biggest things, but we haven't spoken about too much within the CPL, is when you're coming up against your opposition. Do we have the right squad mix to match up against a Chris Gale, and then all of a sudden you're up against Aaron Sammy and the likes?
How important was Rashid Khan for cricket?
So I was now going to make that point. I mean, when you look at Afghanistan as a country and as a sporting nation, you would say cricket now is the #1 sport. With what they've been able to achieve with Mohammad Nabi and Rashid Khan. You're seeing an influx of young players from Afghanistan rising into all these leagues. Zaheer Khan is another opportunity. There were that was last year, Case Ahmed, I think, the leg spinner, played for the St. Lucia Stars. So you would see more of this happening. The inspiration from these two leading Afghanistan cricketers, Rashid Khan, Mohammad Nabi, has just inspired a generation of cricketers.
Absolutely.
And that's fantastic for sport in Afghanistan.
Oh, well, wonderful for Afghanistan, and dare I say, wonderful for our beloved sport of cricket. All right, let's look back then at the round 5 picks. We'll have a quick look at the summary of that. Here we are, guys. Sandeep Lamichhane, Ben Laughlin, Zaheer Khan, Rassi van der Dussen, Andre Fletcher and Dinesh Ramdin.
Yeah, teams are just starting to, with now that we're into this round as well, starting to filter out exactly what they're looking for. And we're probably starting to get a bit of a sense of where they think their key areas are, where they need to match up this year. So it'll be interesting to see what they pick from here on in.
And trying to pick roles and cover roles, wicketkeeper, batsman, leg spinner, left arm spinner, seaming all-rounder. So you're seeing teams taking shape at this stage of the draw and the acquisition.
It's exciting. It's exciting. All right, that's it. Wrapped up for round 5. It's time now for round 6. Let's look at the retained players. For round 6, Darren Bravo for the Trinbago Knight Riders. Kesrick Williams for the St. Lucia Stars. And O'Shane Thomas for the Jamaica Talawas. Okay, the Guyana Amazon Warriors, you are on the clock, and there'll be 3 picks in this round. What do you guys think of those retained players? Who do we want to talk about first?
Darren.
O'Shane Thomas.
Exactly, O'Shane Thomas. Let's go, Darren.
Well, I mean, exciting. I mean, his story is incredible. You can ask Chris Gale, seeing him in the nets, inviting him to the Jamaica Talawas, then him coming and returning the favour, so to speak, to Chris Gale, getting him out with a peach of a delivery.
Yes.
And, you know, boy, he soared into international cricket. He was in the top 10 leading wicket takers in CPL 2018. Look at what he's done. He's found himself in the IPL.
Unbelievable.
He's now in the West Indies World Cup team. I mean, it's a great story. And I think when you look at his physicality, he's strong. He has to work on his athleticism, his fitness. But you would say that he's a genuine fast bowling option for West Indies cricket in the long term. So you want to see him develop. It's really good that he will be amongst his peers again in this Jamaica Talawas setup. So I think he's one of the most exciting players in the West Indies at this point in time.
Super. And personifies what we were talking about, the CPL being such a good basis from which to start. Okay, on the clock, I'm going to place the Jamaica Talawas. Patriots, sorry. St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots, you guys are on the clock, and there has been a pick. It is Chris Green. Yes, captain last year, you may remember.
Yep, good off-spinner, good young player, shows leadership skills, as you said. He was given the captaincy.
Yes.
I think that change in captaincy for the Amazon Warriors might have affected their momentum as a team. You want to be set beforehand. You want to give a captain. There was some strange
timing there.
Correct. You want to give a captain an opportunity to mold his team, to be able to relate to players with confidence. That didn't quite happen in 2018. Maybe they will make that announcement beforehand and give Chris Green the opportunity to lead this team. Only time will tell.
I think that the timing of the tournament too, we've spoken about not all players being available. So do you pick a superstar internationally that can only be there for a short amount of time, or do you go with someone who hasn't quite made it internationally but can give you something for the entire tournament?
Yeah.
I think that's where they've been really smart here with Chris Green. They gave him opportunity with the bat higher up the order last year and played some really good knocks. Versatile with the ball, can bowl in the power play, can bowl in the middle, can bowl at the death as well, and got a good cricket brain.
Yeah.
So you sort of package all that up. And
Strategic.
they love him down there as well.
I was just going to say, social media.
Chris Green.
That's it. Yeah, we live in a new world where it's all about social media. How you look, Chris Green is well loved.
He's ticking all the boxes.
Board. Indeed. Strategic stuff from the Guyana Amazon Warriors. All right, well, we've got St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots on the clock, and they're just verifying their draft.
Just want to talk about Darren Bravo, that pre-selected
retained player
for TKR. I mean, his form right now a little bit on the low side with the West Indies team. He has the opportunity of the World Cup, but I think potentially he is a great player. You look at what he's accomplished in 2018, that innings against St. Lucia Stars. 10 sixes, I think it was.
But that was it, isn't it? You wouldn't sort of marry up him with the amount of sixes that he hit, but his strike rate of sixes in comparison to boundary fours was absolutely unbelievable.
Okay, guys, the pick is in. Laurie Evans is the pick for the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots, and we're going to put the Barbados Tridents on the clock. Okay, the Englishman. What do you make of that?
Yeah, good all-rounder.
And from a program down at Sussex that have done really, really well with white ball cricket too. So when you all of a sudden you're picking players from franchises that have done well in T20 cricket, that just adds things into the mix.
2,000 T20 runs, mid-30 average, his strike rate very high. Impact player, you would say. A good player to probably bat in the middle, maybe lower order as well, to capitalize on the death overs. You're looking at this St. Lucia Stars, they're very determined, they're very organized in terms of how they're going and building this team. So I would say that's a very good option that they've gone for in this round.
It's a short tournament, you know, they're not together for an awful lot of time, but how much do you think personality gelling plays into it? And you think, well, I'm going to choose a few players because I think they'll get on, they'll really mold well together.
I think we've seen examples of that in the past when they had this All-Stars team that took on Australia. The best players in the world came together to play a well-groomed Australian team, and that team of superstars didn't quite compete. So that again brings us to the point. Yes, relationships important. Being able to synergize with each other in a team is always crucial. You can have the best players if they're not agreeing, if they don't have that chemistry.
They don't feel good.
You wouldn't get the collective result that you want, which is winning matches.
All right, well, the pick is in, ladies and gents, and it's Johnson Charles. Johnson Charles to the Barbados Tridents.
He played with the Tallawahs last year, played a slightly different role to what he did with St. Lucia Stars. He usually would have opened the batting with Andre Fletcher, played more of a middle order sort of role last year. But this year, I don't know where the Tridents are looking to use him. Maybe the lack of firepower in the last 5 overs, that might be a role for Johnson Charles. He's a left-hander as well.
But where would you play him?
Yeah, I think I would bat him in the middle. If you look at, the picks that Tridents have made so far, Alex Hales, the top of the innings, you think about, the players that they have there. Asif Ali, who's also a very explosive player. They would want to bat these guys a little bit high, give them the responsibility of scoring majority of the runs. Maybe it's an option as well at the top of the innings for Barbados Tridents. So a versatile pick, you would say.
There's a T20 World Cup around the corner too in Australia later next year. How much does that play in the players' minds too, to think, well, we've only got probably 2 CPLs now to say, hang on, don't forget me. He hasn't played for the West Indies in a while.
Correct. And there's been a change in the selection panel. So any sort of impressions you make now could really influence that new panel of selectors. So if I was Johnson Charles, knowing that I've been a part of winning T20 teams for the West Indies, I would want to put in the performances and let the selectors be under pressure to think about me and maybe select me for that 2020 T20 World Cup.
Why not? All right, let's look at a summary then of round 6 and see if there's anyone we haven't really discussed. Johnson Charles, Chris Green, O'Shane Thomas, Laurie Evans, Kesrick Williams, and Darren Bravo. Kesrick Williams
is the one we haven't really
discussed. Come on now. one of the best celebrations in the business.
Does he change it? This is the big question.
I don't know.
He's got the deepest pockets in the world. Every time he gets a wicket, he puts it into his pocket.
He's always got details. He's got lots of details. I wonder, will he have a new celebration? I'm sure for 2019.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I would hope so, actually.
Yeah.
I think he's up to it.
I mean, that's the one thing about Caribbean people. It's all about trends and music, and so there's bound to be something else that they're doing this summer. Wasn't happening last summer. We put Alex Hales on the clock in terms of dance experience. He's going to have to learn how to do it.
Let's talk a little bit about his value as a player.
Kesrick.
I think he's developed his variations as a fast bowler. He's got a good slower delivery, good short delivery as well, can change his pace. He's not afraid to bowl the pressure overs, you would say, in a T20 match, in the first 6, maybe the last 2 or 3 overs as well. He's always in there. He's had international experience with the West Indies, not a part of the World Cup setup, but he's been in and out of the West Indies international side. So when you're in that sort of zone, any opportunity to play cricket is an opportunity for you to get yourself back into the international team, because most of the players will want to continue playing there and cementing their positions in the international side.
And I think he's sort of the leader of the pack now at the Stars in terms of the pace bowlers too. So that added responsibility as a leader, I think, after year one already being down there, second year in, should be expecting some good things from him.
All right, good. Well, we are talking about the player draft. We've got the rules and regulations. We're going to find out about what it means to be able to match, the matching option. And for that, we go up to Michael, who knows it all, Hall, in Michael's Corner.
Thank you very much, Alex. Not so sure I agree with the know-it-all part, but I'll take it for now. So in rounds 7 to 10 inclusive and rounds 13 to 16, franchises will have an opportunity to match or to block another franchise from selecting a player. They can do this if they wish to bring a player into their squad who is from their territory. So I'll try and give an example. Let's say that Trinidad has selected a player in round 7, and another franchise attempts to select a player who is from Trinidad, and Trinidad wants that player. They can exercise that right to match and stop the other franchise from picking them. They will then pick up that player and put him into their squad at the next available selection option. Now, teams can only do this one time in these rounds, 7 to 10 and 13 to 16, and they can only do it for a player who is from the territory where their franchise is domiciled. Back to you, Alex.
Oh, thank you, Michael. Very clever. Just adding so much more to the strategy and how it's all going to happen, the right to match. OK, we're into round 7 of the player draft. Let's have a look at the retained players. In round 7, we've got Glenn Phillips for the Jamaica Tallawahs. There's also Chemo Paul for the Guyana Amazon Warriors. Shea Hope for the Barbados Tridents. And the soldier, Sheldon Cottrell for the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots. Okay, here we are. It's round 7, and TKR, you are on the clock. Trinbago Knight Riders officially on the clock. Oh, wow, fantastic retained players there. Who do you want to start with?
Round 7, and you look at those 4 players, and you're like, wow, that's impressive, isn't it?
right down the road.
The one I want to pick up on is Glenn Phillips. I thought he played, well, for the last couple of years. He's been
such a hero last year for the
Got the big 100 as well. Very handy with the gloves. We know he's kept internationally as well. But I tell you what, the other thing is he likes and wants to develop his off-spin as well. So that's another string to his bow and adds also another option to the Tallawahs.
Such a wonderful personality. He was a real team player for the Tallawahs last year, Darren.
He was. And we spoke about that continuity factor. We talk about him now joining some new faces, giving another option and options in the bowling department as well for the Tallawahs. But I want to divert to Shea Hope.
Okay.
And what we've seen from him with the bat recently with West Indies in that triangular series.
He's getting into some form, isn't he?
Whoa. Over 400 runs in that series. He's grown from strength to strength in white ball cricket. His red ball game is not where he'd want it to be, but I think he's growing in stature every time you see this young man bat. So
where's
him
his biggest
joining
improvement been?
I think it's, you know, he had this problem of standing beside the ball and using his arms. I think now he's covering the ball a lot better, moving his head into the ball, which is something that most power players do. So he's working on that limitation that he had. The mere production of runs and the appetite for runs that he has is a great asset for him as a batsman. He's not contented with just scoring 1 century in a season. He goes 1, 2, and big ones.
Yeah.
That's crucial as a batsman. And I think he can be a long-term solution for the West Indies international team.
I think that's the word appetite,
formats.
isn't it? And you can see it in players. We see in Australia with Steve Smith. And he just wants to bat and bat and bat and bat.
He enjoyed it with Steve Smith last year, didn't he?
Well, he probably would have learned. I think they probably would have learned a lot off each other.
All right, well, the pick is in. It's Mohammed Hasnain. Mohammed Hasnain is the pick. We'll put the St. Lucia Stars on the clock now.
150 plus. As soon as you say that,
yeah.
you want pace, don't you? Played with the Quetta Gladiators in the Pakistan Super League. We talk about what do teams want for their bowling stocks. Leg spin, definitely, but you want pace. And when you've got pace in there, we saw it with Jofra Archie. He's just burst into the England team off the back of all these performances with the Rajasthan Royals and the like. So that's a little bit of excitement factor as well.
Nowhere like the Caribbean to like pace. Talking.
Pace, I mean, this round looks like it's batting and pace. You think about Sheldon Cottrell as well for the Patriots, pre-selected in this round. Another seamer, left-arm seamer. He's been a part of this setup for quite a while. He is a genuine wicket taker. Even at the international level, the West Indies, they normally turn to him for him to pick up early wickets. He's got the ability to swing the ball, Cotterell, as a left-armer, early up, and he can change the pace as well. And he bowls a rapid 130, 140 type delivery, which is crucial in T20 cricket.
Right. Yeah, I want to go back to that 19-year-old Mohammad Hasnain. He's a youngster going into a team with DJ Bravo. I mean, how much can he learn from him?
He can learn a lot. I think he's also a part of the Pakistan World Cup team, if I'm not mistaken, or he was recently part of the series here in England. So getting international experience and coming off that and going into a third-party T20 competition with your confidence high, he will only want to express himself.
30 seconds left on the clock. You're going to want to hurry along there, St. Lucia Stars.
That's the greatest thing about franchise cricket. It allows players to interact with each other, to learn from each other, to rub shoulders, as against only with the opportunity when you play with your international side.
Yeah, and there's so much on the line,
correct.
right?
And the benefit for the young local players, I think it's tremendous. And we've seen that benefit come to performances and opportunities for young West Indian players. You think about Shafin Rutherford, you think about Kemo Paul, you think about Shimron Hetmeyer, Pooran, all these guys, O'Shane Thomas, graduating from being emergent players into now being marquee players in a draft.
Well, it's crystal clear to see that, you know, from the CPL, not only do they have this experience, but they gain confidence. You gain confidence. You're playing with players at this level. You're having those performances. It's just a wonderful training ground.
Yeah, it is. And you can see players adopting each other's, the type of celebration, the way their mannerisms, the way they walk, the way they prepare. You hope that they adopt the right sort of pre-game routine as well before they go to play.
Yeah.
Because that, to me, would be the most important thing that you would want happening when you have a marquee player coming in, like, say, for example, Alex Hales or Lassit Malinga, that the young players in these franchise teams, they go to these players and try to learn as much as possible for their own personal development.
All right, final pick of the round is in, guys, and it's John Campbell. John Campbell for the St. Lucia Stars. That's a good pick.
What's with that little chuckle?
I'm just so excited. He's done so well recently.
He certainly has, across all formats as well. So, and that's what you like to see, is when players do get that confidence from that kind of cricket, that they can then take it into a CPL when you debut against England, and it was a fantastic series as well at home as well. That's where you go, right.
He'll be feeling confident coming off the back of that.
Well, he doesn't lack confidence.
He's a Jamaican.
I looked at this young man when he debuted against England in that entire series. He's been playing white ball cricket as well.
Yeah.
He's unfazed by the situation. He's got a lot of self-confidence in his technique, in his ability. He looks very calm at the crease, never rushed or hurried. Sometimes a little bit overconfident. That paddle
I'm sorry,
scoop.
did you not hear me? He's Jamaican. I thought I cleared that up at the top.
He tried to do a paddle sweep in a test match.
Didn't go down.
Was very surprising, but
How
I
many
think
paddle sweeps did you play in your test career, Darren?
I can't even recall. But that's the mannerism that he has. That's a confidence, which is good for international cricket and for T20 cricket.
Yes.
You need to be fearless as a batsman, especially if you bat in the top 4, top 5. You need to be able to manage risks and not be afraid to take those risks very early in the
Nothing to fear but fear itself, Ganga.
Yeah.
That's it for round 7. Let's have a look back at the summary of round 7, see if we've forgotten anyone. We've got Shea Hope there with the Tridents, Kemo Paul with the Amazon Warriors, Glenn Phillips, Talawas, Sheldon Cottrell with the Patriots, John Campbell with the Stars, and Mohammad Hasnain with the Knight Riders. Oh, yeah, Kemo Paul, he was out with a lot of injury last year, wasn't he? It will be really important this season for him.
Had a very good IPL stint. I saw him in that one game where he got the Player of the Match award.
Yeah,
Seemed
fantastic.
like he gelled and fit in really nicely. That experience, what I would like to see, and I would like to see, is when players have had that type of high-intensity experience, playing in the IPL, playing against a tough opposition, how that impacts their game. If they go to a point where they drop their intensity, or they take that and use it to their advantage in terms of taking their game to another level. That is what you want to see. And I always talk about players and their attitude. I think he's got the right attitude. He comes from very humble beginnings. He's had a difficult time growing up, and he's gotten that one opportunity. And for me, He's the one player, one of the few players in the West Indies that can swing the ball, move the ball, and he looks like he has a very good cricketing brain.
He has a steady head on, even when he was on the under-19 team, even you know, from a few years ago, quite a steady young man.
I think the other thing too is when you go to the IPL, it sometimes can be a little bit information overload because you want to get there and take in as much as you possibly can. So the big challenge then is for Chemo, Paul and the likes to come back to the CPL and just probably pick one or two things and go, this is what I'm really going to work on. I think this will work well for me in terms of my development as well, rather than just going, I'm going to try absolutely everything.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's move on now to round 8 of the Hero Caribbean Premier League player draft. These are the retained players. In round 8, just 2 retained players. Ashley Nurse from the Barbados Tridents. And Sherfane Rutherford from the Guyana Amazon Warriors. St. Lucia Stars, you're on the clock. All right. Ashley Nurse.
No surprises there. Ashley Nurse, you would say the leading spinner in Barbados, and he's been the West Indies white ball spinner. He's going to the World Cup. He will have that experience. He's been a part of the Tridents and their setup for a number of years. So you'd naturally think that the owners will go for a player like this. One, to make sure that the Bajan crowd and support is there, to make sure that there's a certain percentage of Bajan players in this franchise team so that, you know, they can get that
There's
local
some
support.
glue.
Yeah, he's not the most penetrative off spinner. He's more economical than penetrative in terms of taking wickets, but he can play a role for you in T20 cricket. Very handy with the bat, could hit the ball a long way. So a good pick, you would say, for the Tridents.
And what about Sherfane Rutherford? I mean, those young Guyanese, Sherfane Rutherford, Chemo Paul, Shimron Hetmeyer, what an incredible chorus of young men in that team.
Before I talk about their ability and their skill sets, I want to talk about their physicality. These guys, they look like young boxers. They're supremely built, very athletic. If you look at Sherfane Rutherford, he packs a punch. I saw him hit the 6-over cover off the back foot in the IPL. It looked very easy, but it's the most difficult thing to do as a batsman. He can do that, and he's not had a lot of international experience. So let's think about these young players like a Rutherford getting the right mentoring, right grooming, being nurtured in the right environment with the right work ethic, what they can achieve as players.
Lucky enough to do an interview with Sherfane Rutherford during the IPL, and he just oozed this, I just love being here kind of mentality. You can tell that every kind of opportunity that he got, he was learning from it. But the confidence he had when he went out to bat too, just to play his game. Sometimes people go within their shell a little bit. He just went, no, this is the role that I've got to play with this side, and I'm going to back myself to do it, which is fantastic.
Those are the moments you got to do it. All right, the pick is in. Nuroshan Dickweller is the pick. Nuroshan Dickweller, the Sri Lankan. St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots, you are officially on the clock.
Interesting selection too, because Sri Lankan cricket has gone through turmoil, not just in the last 12 months, over the last few years. Hasn't got picked for the World Cup, played pretty much the majority of red ball and white ball cricket for Sri Lanka over the last few years as well. So it's quite a surprise. So he now has an opportunity to say, well, that was wrong, that selection. Here I am, and he's a real go-getter. He's very lively behind the stumps and a very good striker of the ball.
Yeah, he's played across formats, which I think is very handy. When you've played red ball cricket and you now have the opportunity to play white ball cricket, I think that database of knowledge serves you well in pressure situations. You can rely on a lot of things that you've learned from other formats of the game. So Dickweller is one such player who's had the opportunity. If you could ask Chris Gale, you know, what sort of pushes him in tough times in T20 cricket, I'm sure he will tell you about times when he played red ball cricket and what worked for him there. So it doesn't really change that much, but having the database of playing ODI cricket or test match cricket, always an asset when you're playing T20 cricket.
Okay, St. Kitts and Nevis, their pick is in. It's Devon Thomas. Jamaica Talawas, you're now on the clock. St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots, he played for them last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he was a good player for them. I think he was surprisingly very effective with the bat. Produced quite a number of cameos. Devon Thomas, he is also a wicket-keeping option. Sometimes he will take the gloves off and he will bowl seam. So when you talk about versatile player, he is probably one of those. Hails from that part of the Caribbean as well. He's played 21 ODIs for the West Indies, so a fair amount of international experience in that pick.
And one of those players that there'd be the expectation that he actually does step up this year as well, having been around the unit, has international experience. You sort of, if you don't have the best year and you have a couple of little cameos in one season, he'll probably be sitting back going, I'm setting myself now for this season as well.
All right, if everyone's just joining us, we're in the middle of round 8 of the 2019 Hero Caribbean Premier League player draft. It has been fascinating stuff so far. Like Ganga mentioned, the team's really starting to take shape, even over just 7 and 8 rounds. 1 minute left on the Tallawah's clock. 1 minute left, gentlemen.
I mentioned heart rates at the start of this whole draft for these guys on screen at the moment. I think it probably goes up as it goes on, because all of a sudden the combinations change. Someone else picks someone up and you're like, where am I going to go to now?
We often talk about players being calm under pressure. As owners, you've got to be calm as well. So,
absolutely. What about the analysts? The reason I brought you here is to make the right strategic picks. It's a very nervy affair, as it should be. It's a big deal, guys. This is where the tournament starts. Probably before this with your retained players, but the player draft, it's where all the action begins.
And then money is involved. So when you pick a player, you're expending a certain amount of resources towards that player, and you expect a return value on that investment. So you got to treat it like a business decision.
Sorry, the pick is in. George Worker is the pick. George Worker, TKR, you're on the clock. George Worker, Kiwi batsman, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. And I suppose that's where sometimes it's that balance between when you're picking the teams is gut feel over a player and actual knowledge. So some good experience for Worker behind his his career at the moment. So I reckon sometimes some people see a player and go, they're about to launch.
10 ODIs.
Here's the opportunity now to pick him now. He's played a little bit of experience internationally. Let's pick him now and get benefit from him.
Yeah, we've seen many examples where players, they've used third-party T20 leagues to propel themselves into national team setups. I mean, in our own instance here in the Caribbean, Sunil Narine, doing well in the Caribbean Premier League, getting an opportunity to play in the IPL, and then pitch forward himself into the West Indies international side. I mean, George, he's played just a handful of international matches, so he might want to use this as an opportunity again to announce himself with his national selectors.
Has he been playing in some of those warm-up games, Mel, between New Zealand and Australia?
That's a good question.
I believe he has.
I was in India. I think he did, up in Lamont Oval as well. And it was a mix of players for those warm-ups as well. Not everyone was available, which also is a fantastic opportunity for him. And he took that opportunity. I think he got 59 or so in the last game. On the pitches at AB can be sort of up and down a little bit, but and against. I'm just trying to think. Stark was up there. All the main bowlers for the Aussies as well.
All right. Well, the TKR pick is in, and it's Kari Pierre. Kari Pierre rounds up our round 8 here for the draft. No surprise there.
Just outstanding player. Like when you look at the CPL, and if I was in the mix at the moment in terms of picking players, and I wanted my left arm orthodox, he'd be my go-to. Yeah,
he's in the top 10 leading wicket takers for 2018. Young man from Trinidad, had the opportunity to play for the Knight Riders. He got the Man of the Match award in that final in 2018.
So crazy.
I mean, when you think about it, you would not have expected that. You're thinking more the big-name players rising to the occasion. But for a young, inexperienced player to come to that big occasion and perform for your team, to take them to another title, I think that shows character. That shows that he's growing in stature. It gave him the opportunity to play international cricket for the West Indies. He was part of that white ball team that played in India in 2018 October. So opportunities galore for him. He's a reserve player as well for the World Cup team. So if someone gets injured, he could find himself playing World Cup cricket.
You could just see last year he was so at home in that TKR setup. All right, that's it for round 8. Let's just have a quick look at the summary and see if we've got anyone. Ashley Nurse, Sherfain Rutherford, George Worker, Kari Pierre, Nershawn Bikwela, Devon Thomas. That's it for round 8. We're going to take a break here on the show. We'll be back after this to continue with round 9. Hello and welcome back. It's CPL 19. It's the player draft. I'm Alex Jordan, and I had the privilege of catching up earlier with the senior management of the CPL, the real brains behind the operation. Damien O'Donoghue, Pete Russell, great to see you. CPL 2019 player draft. No one is more excited than I am.
Yeah.
Let's start with you, Damo. What makes this tournament so magical? Why are we so excited?
Oh, listen, I think it's an ingredient of things. Obviously, it's one of the most beautiful places in the world in which to play cricket. You've got some of the best players in the world from the West Indies, and you know, I think that really should be the home of T20 cricket. And then on top of that, we got the best fans in the world. You know, when Pete and I travel the world as we do, people just want to stop and ask us about the CPL, and it's something that's on their bucket list now. It's a tournament that everyone wants to be part of, both players and fans alike. People want to travel in from outside the region to just come and experience just how unique and how special this tournament is.
Yeah, it's not a tough sell, is it? It's gorgeous. Pete, you talked about the fact that T20 is our game, the Caribbean game. Last year's CPL, we saw many young players emerge, make their names, and in 2019, they're stars.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, within that short space of time. You think back even to August last year, and no one had really heard of Hetmar. And now with what he's done, obviously with West Indies cricket and also in the IPL, these guys are massive. So for us, that gives us a huge amount of satisfaction. So you look at the draft this year, there's a special couple of picks which are for developing players. And we hope that those 12 players go on and become exactly what the Hetmars and the Rutherfords, etc., have done last year. So yeah, it's very exciting.
All right, enough cricket. It's the biggest party in sport, Damo.
It is the biggest party
the fans
in
are
sport,
amazing.
yeah.
Caribbean culture and partying.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's why even when we've been running around the Caribbean meeting the governments, one thing that they really want to see is that we showcase more of the Caribbean culture and, you know, bring in some music acts as part of the tour. So that's really what we're looking at doing this year, and creating that carnival atmosphere, because, you know, what we have on the pitch is extremely exciting, but actually what we have off the pitch is equally as exciting. So, you know, from a content point of view, both in terms of live music, but also in terms of what we're going to do from a production standpoint. You know, we're speaking to Netflix at the moment because they'd love to do a documentary on CPL, just because it is such a unique sporting event.
Yeah.
For, you know, the cricket, but also for more so for what goes on around it.
All right, well, Damo, I'm available. So we'll make that happen. Great to talk to you guys, and congratulations on creating a monster.
Great, thank you so much.
O'Donoghue, the CEO, and Pete Russell, the COO of the Caribbean Premier League. Welcome back to the draft. It's round 9. Let's have a look at the retained players. And round 9, just the one pick, Obed McCoy from the St. Lucia Stars. St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots, you are officially on the clock, while me and my team will have a little chat with maybe what Pete and Damo said. Any thoughts on that? They must be pleased. This has just gone from strength to strength there.
Yeah, the fan engagement, very crucial in a tournament like this. I think they've been able to do it quite well. Caribbean governments are wanting more,
yes,
as expected. Many of the islands built on tourism, so getting more people coming to the islands,
and particularly September, October this year, right, which is out of season.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
I mean, it's very difficult to predict the weather patterns this time, but I just feel that the cricket and the quality of cricket is backing up the atmosphere, the environment, what fans can do off cricket as well. It's a wonderful package. If you're a cricket supporter, you can get the best of all the worlds. You can go have great entertainment in terms of cricket, enjoy the beaches, enjoy the bars, enjoy all the different things, the flora, fauna of the different islands. I mean, you get
and if you're up for it, the nightlife.
That's right.
We had a great time, didn't we, Melton?
I can't remember. It's brilliant, isn't it? You sound as if you're like the tourism ambassador for the region.
Okay, sorry. Team's in. The name's in. Riyadh Emirate. Riyadh Emirate is the name. Jamaica Talawas, you guys are on the clock. Sorry to interrupt you, Mel.
Yeah. And really interesting to hear that Netflix is interested as well, and certainly not surprised, particularly after they did the series on the Mumbai Indians that was released earlier this year, which was really exciting to be able to watch that as well. So to see that come through, and now it's not going to be any fire festival. Things will actually happen here. At the
I have to tell you, it flashed through my mind.
But what an amazing... It will just bring more and more people in, which is fantastic.
Yeah, good. All right, Riyadh Emirate.
Yeah, workman-like player. He was with the Guyana Amazon Warriors, and for quite a number of years he's been a part of that setup. Had a chance to lead that franchise, so he's moving to a new franchise. Don't know what type of role. He's going up in age, Does he have an X factor? I don't think he has an X factor, but he can play a supporting role in a team in T20 cricket. His bowling useful, not much of a batter, but I think he's still a decent T20 player and could add value in a T20 setup.
So the selection then might be in and around potential injuries, but do you think he'd be picked in the starting 11?
Well, it depends on the options available. So far, when you look at the Patriots, they've got Cotterell as their option, seam option. So maybe Emrit, he's usually inclined to bowling a full complement of 4 overs in a T20 match. Many a times he will bowl in the middle overs and the death overs as well.
Yep.
So maybe that's a role that they're looking to for Riyad Emrit.
And I think that's the one there. It's death bowling, isn't
Correct.
it? I think every team is looking for that person who can put their hand up and say, I'm going to nail my Yorkers, I'm going to get my change-ups right. That might be his role this season.
Yeah, indeed.
All right, Ahmad Butt is the pick. Ahmad Butt. He is the Jamaica Talawas pick in round 9. Barbados Tridents, you guys are on the clock.
It's come from the Islamabad United, which is a very successful unit within the Pakistan Super League. So, and that's the interesting thing too, because players play in these other franchises, but so do the coaches as well. So they'll see just a variety of different players to say that they will suit what we're trying to create as well, and that's probably another selection in this case.
Yeah, he's an international player. I think having the option of picking 5 players and knowing that you can only play 4, you've got to be very selective in what you do.
Yes.
I think you may want to balance roles in terms of the international players. So if you're picking 5 international players, maybe 3 bowlers and 2 batsmen, or 3 batsmen, 2 bowlers. That's the type of combination you may look towards with international players. Very different to last year, as Michael said. 1 less international player to your complement and to your squad.
Yes.
So you've got to be selective and you've got to be precise in terms of the type of player that you go for in terms of your international players pick.
Imad Wasim is the pick for the Barbados Tridents. TKR, you are now on the clock. Imad Wasim. I think these franchise panels are getting a bit quicker. They know what's happening now. They're getting even more strategic. What do you make of that?
Talawas have had him in the past. I think he's a great pick. We were talking about Carrie Pierre earlier in terms of left arm orthodox. He's got the ability. He's not a massive turner of the ball by any stretch of the imagination, but can bowls in the power play exceptionally well. He can get the ball to skid on. He can change his pace reasonably well, and very handy with the bat with some left arm.
Do you know where he was born?
Wales.
Pakistan.
Swansea. Thanks for stealing my thunder, Mel Jones.
You asked me a question.
AOM-MUA.
I just want to make a point about the complement of players we've seen from the Tridents so far. So going for the left-arm spinner, they've gone for Lamachani before. So they've got a leg spinner, a left-arm spinner, and they've got Wab Riaz, the left-arm seamer. So showing versatility in terms of their bowling options, which is always a very good thing
have to take wickets.
in T20 cricket.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, or you will face the wrath. Welcome if you're just joining us. This is the official player draft of the 2019 Hero Caribbean Premier League. We're well in here. We're into round 9. And we're just verifying the pick for the Trinbago Knight Riders. Have been such a dominant team in this competition.
Yeah, very much so. I think credit must go to the technical team, the owners, and the think tank behind the Knight Riders for getting the type of consistency. One of 3 teams in CPL's history to qualify every time for the playoff round.
My goodness.
TKR, Guyana Amazon Warriors, and Jamaica Talawas. So you're seeing consistency in these teams in terms of what they've been able to achieve. Some going on to win titles more than others. Knight Riders 3 times, Talawas 2 times, Barbados Tridents. They've only won it on that 1 occasion. But the consistency behind the thinking, behind the process, the continuity as well in players.
Yeah.
But I think that only lasts up to a point where you need to have like a fresh approach towards your team and your strategy.
Okay, Jimmy Neesham's in there. Speaking of new blood, Jimmy Neesham for the Knight Riders. And who do we put on the clock? Guyana Amazon Warriors, you're officially on the clock. What do you know about Jimmy?
So more New Zealanders coming into That's not too bad for you. And you'd probably say also Colin Munro being in the squad, Brendan McCullum being around TKO in the past. They would have had a little bit of influence probably on saying, what do you need within the group and how can we help? We know these players back home. And Jimmy Neesham, he's got an opportunity too, isn't it? Because probably... of all the formats, you probably wouldn't say it's his strongest format, but has an opportunity to come into a well-oiled machine in TKR.
Oh, boy, is it ever.
It's the best one to probably come into if you haven't played in a tournament like this before.
Yeah, Simon Katic would probably have more of an idea of him as a player, because him being from Australia and knowing that cadre of players from that part of the world, I think that helps to have that international flavour. The mere fact that it's really an extension of the Kolkata Knight Riders as well. Having the opportunity to see players in the IPL will give them more of an advantage in terms of their scope of players and being able to understand what is absolutely necessary for the roles that they're looking to.
Well, they're a full-time team, really, aren't
Exactly.
they, TK, because of that extension to Calcutta. So they've got tentacles everywhere around the world.
Indeed.
All right. So let's go now with the next pick. Brandon King is the last kick of the round. He played for the Patriots last year, and he's with the Guyana Amazon Warriors this year. Brandon King.
Explosive batsman, young, entertaining, fearless, exactly the type of ingredients you need for T20 cricket. Whether he will be batting at the top, when you think about Nicholas Pooran already in that lineup, Shimron Hetmeyer, you have the cool and calmness of Shoaib Malik, who was selected in the 3rd round. So I think that's a good, solid batting lineup. Again, like I said before, I just felt that the Guyana Amazon Warriors didn't have that X factor in both departments of their game. They put decent totals, but not the unassailable totals when they played against opposition teams. But with this batting lineup here, they look very explosive.
Might be able to do it. The interesting thing will be the pitches down there, isn't it? We've spoken about the pitches being a lot slower, average run scores down in comparison to the rest of the competition. When you've got a power hitter like King arriving there, you might want to... It'd be interesting whether or not they say to him, just take your time, give yourself a couple of games to get into the groove of things, or just crack on. And you've got someone like a Shoaib Malik around him to manoeuvre him through.
All right, guys, let's have a quick look at the summary of round 9. Important to note here that the Barbados Tridents now have used up all 5 of their overseas spots. I want my panel to note that, because we'll have a chat about that. Imad Wazim there for the Tridents. There's Brandon King, Ahmad Butt, Riyad Emirates, Obed McCoy, and James Nishu.
3 by 3, 3 international players, 3 local players. Teams very different in approach in this player acquisition and draft. And that's good to see that there's been a lot of thought behind these teams and what their thinking is for 2019. Like you said, the Tridents consuming all their options in terms of their foreign players. So they will be now looking to target on local players, very different to the other teams. So let's see how this one pans out.
Guys, we're going to move into round 10. We don't have any retained players, but I would like to take the opportunity to put the Guyana Amazon Warriors on the clock for round 10 of the 2019 Caribbean Premier League player draft.
Yeah, the one player we didn't really talk about was Obed McCoy. I just wanted to make reference to him being a part of St. Lucia Stars. He was the only player in that previous round to be pre-selected. Very good left-arm seamer. He hails from St. Vincent. So again, the locality being a positive for St. Lucia Stars. He made his international debut in 2018 against India. He was one of the few West Indian bowlers to curb the powerful batting of the Indian team. When you think about Rohit Sharma, you think about Virat Kohli, all these guys. So his variations coming very much into play in that ODI series. I think that's an asset for this Stars team. He had a little bit of an injury concern, but if he can remain fit and be given the opportunity, he didn't play all the matches in 2018 for the Stars. They've got to trust him. They've got to give him that confidence that he's a permanent member of the side. And with his experience, I think he can grab it with both hands and deliver for them with the ball.
Well, Mel Jones, to be frank, the St. Lucia Stars have got nothing to lose, have they?
Yeah, they had a pretty woeful season, didn't they? But Obed McCoy loved his slower ball. I think the challenge for him now is, yes, you're right, didn't play all the games. When he did get an opportunity, he certainly put his hand up. Teams will have researched him now as well, so they'll probably be setting himself. They'll do the analysis in behind what is his little tells when the slower ball comes out. So that'll be a big challenge for him, not just hopefully playing more games, but then all of a sudden, right, well, if we are now picking you and you're giving you a little bit of tap, what does he then go to for his game B, C and D?
All right, the next pick is in. It's Romario Shepherd. Romario Shepherd for the Guyana Amazon Warriors. Trinbago Knight Riders are on the clock. The TKR is on the clock.
This is a tremendous talent. I've been looking at this youngster develop over the years. He's a big structure for a 23-year-old all-rounder. He can bat at the top of the innings and he bowls quick delivery. He debuted for Guyana in T20 cricket last year. He, to me, can play a more leading role for this Guyana Amazon Warriors team because he brings balance. He's a power hitter. He's a wonderful fieldsman as well. And you know, this is what the CPL is about, giving opportunities to young, talented players.
We haven't spoken about it too much. We talk about the bat and the ball. We haven't spoken too much about the fielding unit in particular and how important that is in terms of winning a title. So when you put someone like Shepherd in your team, that's a good mix, isn't it?
Yeah. When we always talk about three-dimensional players, batting, bowling and fielding. I think recently there was one player in India spoke about wearing his 4D.
4-dimensional.
Yeah, not being a part of the Indian national team, but I won't call his name.
The other thing on my mind is how is Guyana producing all of these young, talented cricketers? I mean, they seem to be rolling them out.
Well, they've won the 4-day title on the last 4 occasions.
Yes.
In speaking with the local players there, they have a year-round setup where players are asked to report every day for training, for preparation and consistency. You think about Esau Crandon, who was one of the coaches who graduated from Guyana into the West Indian setup. Griffith as well, another coach from Guyana, graduating into the West Indian setup. So you're seeing that hard work, that commitment in terms of training and preparation with all the young players coming to the fore and turning out to be great for Guyana cricket and the development of the players coming from that region.
Okay, next pick, guys, is Sikuj Prasanna. Sikuj Prasanna. Barbados Tridents, you're on the clock. Sikuj Prasanna. Sri Lankan again.
Yeah, 20 T20 internationals, 1 test under his belt, I think around 40-odd ODIs as well. So international experience. So, and this is where it gets interesting, doesn't it, with the selections on how, you know, from 10 down to 17 rounds, how they then mix in with the sort of the superstars.
Well, it's a great opportunity for someone, right? It's a great opportunity to be maybe they'll do something, and then there's not a ton of expectation on you.
Yeah, and that's a pick for who? Trinbago Knight Riders.
Yes.
Correct? So again, I talk about
very
that
happy, relaxed family.
No, but I talk about the reach, and it's not a very popular name in the T20 circuit. So what they're doing and what you're seeing is you're seeing that they're more insightful in terms of the players that they go for, because they're doing a lot of work on the ground in terms of scouting players and players who they think can fill roles. So this is maybe a lesson for other owners to make sure that your scouts are out there where you can probably get good value for money in terms of the round. He's been picked in this, the 10th round.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to see.
Indeed. And okay, let's see. Well, they're just going to be verifying, I guess, the pick. Jonathan Carter is the player picked. Jonathan Carter for the Barbados Tridents. He used to play for the Patriots, I believe.
Yeah. Good all-round player.
No, Jamaica Tallawahs, you're on the clock.
Jonathan Carter, he was recently a part of the West Indies team in that triangular competition in Ireland. He's been a fringe player for the West Indies, never really cemented his spot in white ball cricket for the West Indies. So again, sometimes when you linger in that sort of band for very long, you get lost. This might be his last opportunity for him to push to be a cemented member of that West Indies international side. The good thing about it is he's one of the few players from Barbados that can play spinners quite well. He's got the sweep shot. He can play the seamers. So he can be a person to bat the middle overs if there's a quality attacking spinner in the opposition team and on. So he can be handy and useful, and he's an excellent fielder as well. We're talking about that
feeling. Ingredient then, do you think?
I think it's the ability to be consistent, which is a challenge for all international players. He is hot one day, cold the other day. I remember Jimmy Adams saying that your best day should be very close to your worst day as an international player.
Yeah.
That's the type of consistency that you want. And Jonathan Carter, he struggled to gain that consistency in his game. But in terms of talent-wise, he's got an amazing amount of talent as a player.
And we know how important the sweep shot is,
Yep.
whether it's the slog sweep, the traditional hard sweep backward of square, even if you can bring the paddle out, because you can also then, can he come down the wicket as well? Can he sort of...
Yeah, good use of the feet, yep.
Pretty handy.
Yeah, he is from Barbados. Used to be...
Settle down, you.
He used to be, I don't know if it still is, the sort of finest producer of cricketers per square capita in the world. We'll get our analysts on that, see if that's still the case.
On that one.
All right, the pick is in. Christopher Lamont. Christopher Lamont is the pick for Tallawahs. Sanusha Stars, you are on the clock. Christopher Lamont, guys.
You're going to say he's from Barbados
He played from the Stars. No, come on, move along. Keep it moving, Mel Jones. He played for the Stars last year.
And look, it'd be interesting to actually sit down with the Stars players and say, how did you feel at the end of that season? Because it would have been really, really draining. And then how do they pick themselves up if they stay at the Stars or then move on and start afresh as well, because you sat there watching those games just almost hoping and wishing that they could get over the line just to find something within the middle of that tournament. So he's only played one T20 recently for Jamaica, so he's got an opportunity just to freshen himself up, I guess.
Yeah, and that factor that he is from Jamaica, again, I think that's an added factor for this Talawas team. I always believe competition is healthy, and we're seeing players moving from one franchise to another one, franchise owners and technical staff thinking that they need to find the right combination. So if you're a player looking at this draft, you're thinking, hey, listen, if I don't perform this year, then the possibility of me not being a part of that setup that I was originally selected for, it's a real possibility. So it pushes you as a player to deliver in terms of performances and to get yourself ready to know that this is high-intensity cricket, and that's what international sport is about.
Yeah, there's so much psychology in this game, you know. I'm not sure, would you prefer to be coming in and joining a TKR that has been so successful, have not missed a step in the last couple of years, or join a Stars that the only way is up for them? You know, there's opportunity, obviously, both places. It speaks to some athletic psychology, doesn't it?
I think it depends on where you're at in your career. If you're a young player just trying to find their way through into the system, you probably want to go to a TKR because you're learning from the best. You're in a wonderful, supportive environment. If you're an older player and you want to be giving back to the game, or you want to, expand your skills or develop your game in other areas, you probably think to yourself, well, it's a really good challenge to go.
We can use it. We can use a football analogy.
Yeah.
What about Nima moving, playing under the sort of shadow of Lionel Messi and wanting to make his own name and to announce himself and break through and not be in the shadows of others? So I think you're right. As a young player, you want to go to a franchise team where you be the person to deliver and maybe lead your team to final and to winning the title. That, to me, is a feather in your cap. It adds tremendous value to your reputation as an international player.
Yeah, when you do it and under what circumstances. Okay, Marc Dayal is the pick. Marc Dayal, round 10 pick. Is he a Trini?
He is a Trini.
St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots, you're on the clock.
Right. He is a very talented young player. Hasn't had the opportunity to play a lot for Trinidad and Tobago. He is also a wicket-keeping
Oh, there's a
option.
right to match. This is the first time we're seeing it used in the draft here. A right to match from the TKR, which, now, you understand this, right? He's from Trinidad. I wonder if I just reminded him he was from Trinidad. He's like, oh no! We're going to throw up to our rules and regulation man, the one who knows it all, the Tournament Operations Director, Mr. Michael Hall, in Michael's corner.
Right, so thanks, Alex. Yes, the TKR franchise is well within their right to exercise this right to match option. As was previously explained, it can be exercised when a franchise attempts to select a player from the territory that you are from. So in this case, TKR, the St. Lucia franchise has opted or attempted to draft Marc Dayal, who is from Trinidad, and TKR has exercised their right to match option. What that means is that St. Lucia can no longer select Marc Dayal. They'll have to pick another player now, and the Trinbago Knight Riders will add Marc Dayal to their team, or to their team bucket, if you will, in round 13, which is the next time that rule would apply. So exercising their right to match option, the TKR franchise. Back to you, Alex.
Thank you so much for that explanation, Michael. St. Lucia Stars, you're back on the clock. Hard luck. Better luck next time.
I think the Stars were probably hoping that Mike would have taken a lot longer to explain that, because they were quickly going through, going.
Yes. Yeah, that's interesting. Why do you think that TKR would have wanted him?
This is a second wicket-keeping option for Trinbago Knight Riders. Dinesh Ramdin, he was already selected. I think he will be their primary wicket-keeper batsman. And if anything happens to him, or if he runs out of form, to me, Marc Dayal is another wicket-keeper batsman in the waiting. He's attacking in nature in terms of his style of play. Very young, fresh. He's very dominant in domestic cricket in Trinidad and Tobago. Was a part of the Trinidad and Tobago under-19 and youth setup. This might be his breakthrough year, where he gets an opportunity, he does well, and then propels him to other things in his cricket career.
And if he did get that opportunity, you'd think that he'd just be like for like? He'd come in the middle order too with the bat?
I don't think he has that sort of wealth of experience like a Ramdin to bat high, maybe 4-5, but he can bat a number 6, number 7, depending on the situation. Maybe if they want a little bit of an impetus to the innings, he can be pushed up the order just to deliver in 2 or 3 overs, because I've seen that in some of the more efficient T20 teams in world cricket, where to ensure that the momentum set from the first 6 overs is maintained, you use players for 2 to 3 overs to keep that momentum going and then prepare yourself for the death overs. So he can play that role, but he, to me, is an out-and-out batsman as well. But most of these young players in the Caribbean, as you know, Alex, they prepare themselves to play T20 cricket. Red ball cricket is no longer first priority. It's about white ball cricket and how they could adapt and adjust their game and develop their skill sets to play this format of the game.
All right, we're just verifying the pick. I've got the name in my ear, but I don't want to say it until I'm sure. Yeah, Raheem Cornwall. Raheem Cornwall back to the St. Lucia Stars. Good call.
Good
I was wondering where, you're looking through the list and you're like, hang on a minute, we've still got a few big names to come out. And he's, I think your mind goes back to 2017 for that ridiculous innings.
Sorry, Mel. St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots, you're on the clock. Yes.
Against the Tridents.
Yes, that was a big knock.
And you were speaking earlier about X factors within the team. You got your marquee players and you want X factor from them. But then all of a sudden you've got this guy who can come in and just break the game open with bat and ball.
Yeah, he does it all.
And what round are we in now?
This is round 10.
10. Yeah. So that's a long way down too. So that's pretty impressive for the Stars.
Well, there's been a lot of debate around Raheem Cornwall, the pros and cons of him being a player at the highest level. You're right in terms of his batting skills, but I think his off-spin is underrated. He's a quality off-spinner. He did very well against the England Lions team on recent tours in the Caribbean and here in England as well. But a lot of people feel that with him playing white ball cricket and him not being as agile as you would expect, he carries a lot of weight, that it might be a damper on other players, especially if he's batting with a quick runner between the wickets. He might not be ideal in T20 cricket.
Still want more fitness.
So that debate is an ongoing debate. I know Cricket West Indies invested a lot in terms of him getting specialist advice and nutritionists and all that. I don't know if that has worked as effective as they expected. So it's a sort of dilemma. If you pick Raheem Cornwall, you've got to prepare yourself to make that accommodation.
All right, we've got the last pick of the round. It's Shamar Brooks. Shamar Brooks is our last pick of the round. Another Barbadian there, going for the Guyana Amazon Warriors. Sorry, the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots, I beg your pardon. SKN, that's right. Shamar Brooks, your thoughts?
He is a good player from Barbados, as you rightly said. A lot of people think that he should be playing international cricket for the West Indies as a purebred batsman. He is more conventional in his approach, and I think he can transfer and transform into white ball cricket. He's very astute as a cricketer. He's taken on leadership responsibilities with the West Indies A team. So a good asset to have, has a right work ethic. Maybe the opportunity of playing white ball cricket could be good for his own development as a player. I remember Desmond Haynes saying that to me extensively. Once you get the opportunity to play white ball cricket as a red ball player, it always adds value to your game because you discover things about your game. So maybe that is something that Shamar Brooks could probably use for his own development and the franchise later on.
Congrats to him. He'll be very comfy there with Carlos Brathwaite as well at SKN. I've got to shut you guys up. We're going to look back now, rounds 1 to 5. Have a look at this graphic. Tell me your best picks out of this. You can have it here if you're just joining us. This is rounds 1 to 5.
Yeah, Alex Hales, to me, I think he's been excellent in his international career. 6 ODI centuries, a T20 international century. In terms of spin option, Fawad Ahmed, always a very good option. He's proven himself in 2018. Sandeep Lamachani, I think he's a dark horse in this 2019 competition. But apart from that, I think all of the other players, are players who really have defined themselves in T20 cricket, you would say.
It's not so much the
Mel,
names.
what do you think?
It's more so where they've gone for me, the changes. So, we've all of a sudden we've got Karen Pollard now going back to TK, back home. I think a lot of the fans down there will be absolutely wrapped with that. Chadwick Walton moving. So it's more the shifts and how that adjusts the lineups. Chris Gale, as we mentioned, back to Jamaica as well. So we knew we were going to see big names at the start of the draft, but where they went from team to team was the interesting thing.
Yeah, very good. Barbados Tridents looks like a different team, doesn't it, so far? All right, let's look at 6 to 10. Here we are.
Yep, good choices. Again, the Stars, to me, they're making really good picks in terms of players and the combinations. It's a matter of weighing up whether these top quality players could mesh themselves together and deliver wins. That, to me, would be most crucial.
All right. Any last quick thoughts, Mel?
When you look at round 9 and you've got the likes of Imad Wazim coming in, Obed McCoy, I think that's when all of a sudden I start to say I think these teams are getting some good depth within their squads, and that's really important in franchise cricket.
All right, well, that's it for the first half of this production. I want to say hello and hello to all of our viewers on Sportsmax. Thanks for watching us. I hope you all are all well. You can continue watching the CPL draft. You can do that online on YouTube and on Facebook Live. Please join us again. In 45 minutes' time, we will be live again to continue this. Thank you so much to all the guests, Mel Jones, Darren Ganga, Michael Hall, and all, of course, the franchise panels. You guys have been great. Please join us again after the break. Bye for now.
Wave your hand, wave your hand, wave your hand from the Caribbean. Wave your hand, wave your hand, wave your hand from your number one. From me ready for the competition. You not take intimidation. Ready, woman or man. Wave your hand.
This is how we play the game. This is how we play. And we gon' represent and show them who we stand for. Let's turn it up and light the flame. If you're not here to give it all, then what you here for? So get up and unite for your team. We'll give the best we've got. Hands up, right up, and play hard. We'll take it to it's how we
every band, every bat, every pitch, every pad, every deal, every wicket, every storm. And the heart and soul and passion, and the culture, Caribbean blood. When playing come out all nation, to the team in a unification. When the stadium grand bleach at the grandstand, at the meaning of beautification.
It's how we play.
Support your team, put on your color. Tough like stone, we not soft like butter. Them say them rough, we coming out rougher. So what? This year we have to be the winner. And the ladies 22-1. The vibes in the party stand. Road to the Caribbean. Put up your one, put up your one.